So what kind of content do you make? Is it agency content? And so I got that belief from the shoe business that led to me seeking adamantly on YouTube, how can I make money online?
And if I decide to find someone and partner with someone who's good at it, how do I find someone who's good at sales?
It's persuasion above all. Now, how do you learn how to persuade people? Whatever the offer is, you put that second, because now you have the right audience focused on your offer. Right now, today, after this podcast, you could send them that email and you could have 10 free trials in the next 2 weeks. And next thing you know, you have a paying client.
Do I ask for their ad account access to my business account and then start running? Or does the free trial include me spending my money from my $1,000 to get them more leads?
Wise people learn from the mistakes of others, but the wisest people learn from the successes of others. The man who's comfortable with nothing is the most dangerous man in the world because you can't do anything to him.
How has life changed after money? Or a better way to phrase it would be, how has money changed you as a person?
I'd be curious, like what do you think has allowed you to grow? What's your biggest YouTube growth secret? Because I'm obviously still trying to figure out the way up. So yeah, you dropped some sauce for me. What do you think?
So yeah, I started the YouTube channel back in 2017 January. So it's been a while. When people say overnight success, that didn't definitely happen with me. It took like 7 years-ish to get to 1 million.
That's not bad though. That is not a bad time frame. 1 million. That's amazing.
Things have picked up since COVID. COVID was a blessing in disguise. I didn't get COVID. None of my family members got COVID, but my channel blew up and my Facebook blew up, and these YouTube and Facebook are the two main platforms in Bangladesh. It looks better than what it is, Matt. The CPM and the money that you generate from an audience based in Southeast Asia is fairly low. So it looks really good, but unless you have a product on top or a service on top, you don't make a lot of money from YouTube.
That makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense. Do you have a product or service?
I do. So for the YouTube stuff, for my Bangladeshi audience, I have a course that goes on top of that. And then I also have a paid newsletter that goes there. And for the bread and butter is the agency, not an SMMA. I am an old school SEO agency, started in 2018. And yeah, it's about 130-ish clients, all from Ireland, UK, and rest of Europe, and a few from North America, but mostly European clients. That's the bread and butter. So it's not. Have you talked about your income public? I watch a lot of your videos, but I'm not sure. Have you talked about your income publicly yet? So I don't want to ask that if you haven't.
I talk about like revenue and like how much revenue we're doing and yeah. So I mean, yeah, I definitely have talked about money before, for sure.
Yeah. So we do across everything. I do probably around 2 mil a year.
Okay.
Yeah, across everything. So the agency, the course, the newsletter, and the YouTube AdSense and the sponsor. So if you combine everything, it'll be 2.1-ish per year.
Yeah. That's pretty sick, man. That's amazing. Yeah, very cool.
Not that bad.
And
it's not that bad.
The agency as well. And so what kind of content do you make? Is it agency content?
No. So the agency is an SEO agency. We don't do any content for any client. We do some Facebook ad, but we ask for content from the clients. We're not a content focused agency at all. We do, what else do we do? So we hesitate to do websites. The only time we do website is if we know he'll end up as an SEO client and he just needs a website to get started. That's the only time we do a website for a client. Otherwise we don't. We're just not good at it.
Your YouTube channel though, is that what kind of content are you putting out on your YouTube? Is it like for agency owners? Or
no. So the YouTube thing is more generic. Mostly whoever is gonna watch this, he or she will be someone interested in business, interested in marketing, that's for sure, because that's the core niche of the channel. But on the channel, I've uploaded everything from SEO courses to an Egypt travel vlog. I've done pretty much everything, and they all seem to do well. So yeah, it's a wide variety of audience. So Matt, welcome. For those of you who don't know who Matt is the founder of many SMMAs. One of them is Estate AI, and I don't think people know about the rest of them, so that's fine. Matt, give us a quick intro of yourself. Who are you?
Yeah, well, first, dude, thank you for having me on. And again, congrats on 1 million subscribers.
Thanks.
Incredible. Super, super cool to see. My name's Matt Shields. I'll keep a long story short. So I started my first business when I was 13 years old. I didn't realize it was a business. But I started buying and selling shoes on the internet because I loved basketball shoes. I've been playing basketball my whole life. That was my thing growing up. And I fell in love with the sneakers. And I wanted to have the cool Jordans when I was a kid. I wanted to be the kid who walked out and I was like the white boy with the nice basketball shoes. That was me. And I started to buy these shoes on the internet and I would wear them, but then I would want to get money to buy the next cool shoes. So I had to sell the ones I had already bought. And
Hmm.
what happened is I would sell the shoes that I already bought for maybe $100 that I bought for 100, and then I would sell them for like 150, 200. And then I would get a nicer pair. And then I would sell those for like 250. And then I would just keep trading up. And next thing you know, I realized I could buy shoes on like eBay for $100 and sell them for 150, $200, same pair of shoes. But I could wear them for a couple months so I looked cool, like I had a lot of shoes. So that's how I got started in entrepreneurship. I started buying and selling these basketball shoes and I fell in love with it. And I started making some money as like a 13-year-old kid. Eventually, um, I dropped out of high school. I was in ninth grade at the time. I left school. I did online classes. I started an SMMA a few years after dropping out. And it's just been history ever since. We've built 8 social media marketing agencies at this point. I'm 22 now. We do about, across our portfolio of agencies, we do about 400K a month or so. We're working on a couple interesting partnerships right now, Farhan, that will take that number even higher, but I can't say it yet because we haven't done it. So it's a little bit about me and my background.
Nice. 400K a month is like 5 million run rate. That's a lot of money. Why did you drop from high school?
I really just did not fit into that environment. For me,
Hmm.
going to school was like trapping a fly in a jar, and you have
Hmm.
this fly just like banging its head against the jar all the time.
Yeah.
Discovering online business for me was like realizing that the lid of the jar was off and I could just fly up. And
Hmm.
so that was my experience in school. That's why I dropped out. I always got in trouble. I felt all alone. Like I felt like nobody understood me. I didn't understand anyone. I didn't understand the clicks and the gossip, and it didn't fit for me. And so I left. And it was actually one of the best things I ever did because had I not left, I would have conformed to that group. Even though it wasn't me, I would have made
Hmm.
it me. That's what I see millions of people do. They fit themselves into boxes that they don't actually belong in. Thankfully, I was lucky enough to get outside of the box and not let it change me.
Hmm. Were there any objections from parents or people who who had influence on you? Did they ask you not to do that?
Objections, man. You mean beatings? You mean spankings, dude? No. Luckily, I was a little past that stage of my life, but no, there was definitely objections is a light word, but yeah, my parents would not let me do it. They were so adamant against it, but I said, guys, it doesn't matter what you do. I'm not going. I'm not
Hmm.
going. You could send me to the school. You could have a police officer take me, but as soon as he turns his back, I'm gonna walk out the school. I'm a stubborn person, and I was very stubborn about not going. And thankfully, I was able to convince them. Although it was definitely against their will, they did not want it to happen.
Hmm. Someone in Bangladesh would never be able to do something like that. Never. I Yeah, so I was pretty successful when I was finishing my bachelor's. Then I did my master's, and still some people in my family often ask me why I don't do a PhD. It's a very common thing in Southeast Asia, in Bangladesh, India, and in the
Funny.
neighboring countries. Education is on a high pedestal there. You
Yeah,
can't
so
get away with a high school degree.
I would have got like killed or something if
100%.
I.
So from the shoes, how did you end up with SMMA? How did you discover it, and what happened to that shoe business, if you can call it a business?
Yeah, great. If you could call it a business, it probably wasn't one. Um, so what I learned with the shoe business is that number one, making money on the internet is possible. And I think that's actually the hardest thing to learn for most people because they never actually make that first $100, that first $1,000. But once you get that, it's like, whoa, this is a new world. Nobody
Hmm.
talks about it. No, the only people who talk about it are these gurus who sell you courses and you can't tell if it's true or not. And
Yeah.
it's like, once you do it for yourself, your worldview changes. You're like, wait, hold on. There are answers here that the people around me don't know that I do know. Like my mom, my
Hmm.
dad, my family, they didn't think you could make money on the internet. But me as some 13-year-old douchebag, I don't know if I can say those words on this channel. I
You
apologize.
can. You're fine.
Me as some 13-year-old punk, I somehow figured out that you can make money online, but the smartest people in my life didn't know you could make money online. So that was the biggest thing I got from the shoe business, is the realization that it was possible. And
Mhm.
I think that's the most important ingredient in success. It's belief. And so I got that belief from the shoe business that led to me seeking adamantly on YouTube, how can I make money online? I mean, I
Mhm.
watched every make money online video you can imagine, all the gurus, the drop shipping, the Amazon, the ATM machines, the vending machines, everything, until eventually I found a guy who was talking about SMMA. And he was 21 years old. He had dropped out of college with a 4.0, and he was this really smart, laid back, not like loud or voracious or like super charismatic guy. He was just a chill, normal dude. And he talked about how he was making 20K a month online with social media marketing to local businesses. And I said,
Mhm.
I trust this guy. I see myself in this guy. If he did it, why can't I? I know it's possible because I've had tastes of it before. So I bought his course for $597. I was 17 years old, and 6 months later, I was making $20,000 a month, and I felt like the luckiest person in the world.
What happened? So, what was in the course?
It was a good course, man.
Okay.
It taught how to actually run Facebook ads. So
Okay.
step one, because I needed the conviction in what I was selling before I went and sold it. It taught how to book meetings. That was probably the thing that I think was the weakest part of the course. It didn't have the best methods for getting a lot of meetings, but it taught like cold calling, cold emailing, etc., etc. And then it taught sales. So how do you actually sell once you get the client on a meeting with you? And then how do you actually deliver for them with the Facebook ads? I mean, that was it. It was book meetings, sell, serve. And it taught those three kind of basic pillars, and I went all in with it, and it worked.
Would you, so when you boil it down like that, it's three steps. Just learn Facebook ads, just run Facebook ads, get some meetings, and then close. It's definitely not that simple or easy. Maybe it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yes.
Would you mind giving a step by step breakdown? Because I'm sure you get that hundreds of times. That's probably the number one question that people ask you: how to start an SMMA or how to get into SMMA. So yeah, would you mind giving us a breakdown of how do I get into SMMA? And speak to me. I don't know how to get into SMMA. I'm a 20-year-old or 25-year-old, and I know you can make money on the internet. I see all the
Mm.
from the Imam Ghazi to the Ty Lopez to the new guys. I'm not sure who's doing it now, but yeah, I'm sure someone is. Yeah, I see all those videos. I know it's possible. I don't want to spend $997 on a course. So yeah, what do I do? What's my step one?
Well, the first thing I'll say is for the people who don't want to spend $997 on a course, I have a surprise. Check out my
Hmm.
YouTube channel. It's coming soon. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
That being said, if I'm allowed to plant that little seed
Yep.
there,
100%.
that being said, I want to give you guys like a mini masterclass if you're watching this, right? Like, how can you actually take this information and apply it? Because you ask a brilliant question. If you actually want to get into SMMA, there's one skill that you need above all other skills. There's one thing at the core of a successful SMMA owner, and that is persuasion. They know how
Mm,
to persuade. Whether it's through sales or through marketing or through leadership, all of that is it's just persuasion. It's the ability to influence other people with your words, whether
mm,
they're verbal or they're written. A marketing agency at its very core is a persuasive agency. That's what you do. You persuade people to do things. You persuade your clients to join your company. You persuade your leads to sign up for your client's offer on social media. You persuade your team to put in their best work. It's persuasion above all. Now, how do you learn how to persuade people? You cannot persuade people if you don't understand them. So I'm fascinated with psychology. I'm fascinated with studying why people do what they do. There's a ton of great books on this. You could read the book Purple Cow by Seth Godin.
yeah.
You could read the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. You could
Yeah.
read the book Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. There's all kinds of great books you can read to start to understand why people do what they do. The better you get at understanding people, the better you get at persuading them. And if you can persuade people, you can profit from them. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I mean, you know how to actually persuade them to solve their problem and be the person to solve it for them, which is where profit comes in. Profit
Mm,
comes from solving problems. So I want to start off with that. Now, you have two options there. You either can be the persuader, which I was not. I was very introverted. I had a ton of social anxiety. I did not want to sell people. I hated the idea of selling people. So what I did is I found people who did know how to sell people. They did want to do it. And what I did is I just persuaded them to partner with me. So that was my method is I found people who were great at sales. They were very outgoing and extroverted, and they did the front end persuasion and I did the back end written marketing, and I ran the ads for the clients. And if you want to get good at Facebook advertising, it's not as scary as people think. It's actually really freaking easy. Like, I'm serious. You just click a couple buttons. A seventh grader could do it. Dude, I'm about to coach a 15-year-old in 2 hours who's running Facebook ads for 20 clients. He's 15. He's in school 8 hours a day. It's so simple. Facebook ads are so easy. It's literally the easiest skill in the world, but it pays very, very well. I can go in deeper, but I don't want to ramble on. So you tell me where you want me to go from there, but that's where I would start thinking about it.
Okay. So, I want to start, I want to get into SMMA. Step one, as you said, is to learn persuasion. So I read Seth Godin. I read Never Split the Difference. That's the FBI negotiator book. Never Split the Difference. Yeah. So
and not just those books, but in general, like become obsessed with that content on YouTube, through books, just everywhere. Not just those, but everything.
Okay, so I do that, and after, let's say 3-4 months, I feel like, yeah, I understand people, I understand the market that I'm going after, I understand what they want, and I think if I get into a meeting, I will be able to sell them something or solve their problem. What's step two? Should I not learn a skill? So should I learn Facebook ads? What is an SMMA agency? What does it do actually?
It's a great question. So what an SMMA agency actually does is it runs social media advertisements, usually for local businesses. That's typically what an SMMA does. If you have the skill of persuasion, you don't need the skill of Facebook advertising, but it won't hurt you to learn the basics of it. Because the deeper you understand the thing you're selling, the better you'll be able to sell it. So what I would recommend people is to learn Facebook advertising, at least at its basics. Do some free trials. I'm so big on free trials, man. We did 70 free trials in our first year for clients. And that's why we scaled, is we just gave free trials to everybody. But we got really, really good at the service because we had so much data. So do free trials of actually just running Facebook ads for people. How do you make a great Facebook ad? I think that's kind of the core of what we're getting at here, right? It's like, okay, how do you actually run a Facebook ad? So let me give you a little bit of sauce here, guys. Okay. There's a very, very simple framework I use for ads. The first thing to know, David Ogilvy, the best advertiser who's ever walked the earth. If you've seen the show Mad Men, that show was based on David Ogilvy. It's the greatest advertising guy ever. What he says is a great offer beats a great ad. Something people really want, framed in a way people really want it, is better than just like a fancy ad with a great image. A good offer is always going to win. So your offer is actually the most important part of your ad. Now, how do you first find a great offer? I would read the book $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi if you haven't already. It breaks down how to make a great offer. Then in the ad itself, you're going to take that offer and you're going to use this framework to get people great results with ads. The framework we use is AOC. And I don't mean the politician lady. I mean AOC, starting off with audience. That's the A. You call out the audience first thing. If you're going after single women in Florida in a certain town, you're going to say, hey, single ladies of Naples. And now they know you're speaking to them. So you call out the audience, right? If I'm going after SMMA owners to sell them some freaking course, which I don't, but if I were, I would say, hey, SMMA owners. That would be how I start off the ad. That's the audience. That's the A. The second part is the offer. And that's just putting in what the offer is. You just say, want X, Y, and Z offer? Hey, SMMA owners, want 100 appointments guaranteed in the next 30 days? Hey, single women of Naples, want to try 30 days for free at our new gym? Whatever the offer is, you put that second. Because now you have the right audience focused on your offer. So you're only dealing with people who are somewhat interested and somewhat qualified for what it is you're marketing. Once you've done the offer, the C is the call to action. It's very, very, very simple. You just tell them what to do. Like, it's crazy. But Men's Warehouse does this amazingly well. They say, like, you're going to love the way you look. Just tell people what you want them to do or how you want them to feel. Just like tell them, like, this is what's going to happen for you. Have that conviction. We do that in the marketing and the call to action. We just say, tap, learn more below this ad to claim your spot. Tap, learn more below to claim your spot. And that framework itself, AOC, as simple as it is, that will start you off getting you leads for local businesses. You're going to want to add in some things. You're going to want to add in some benefits, right? So AOBC, so audience, offer, benefits, call to action. So benefits of why your gym, let's say, is better than the other gyms. Oh, well, you get to try 30 days free. You get access to this cool equipment. You get to be around a community of other single women in Naples. Whatever the benefits are that you're advertising for, include that in the ad copy. And then the other thing you can do is you can add scarcity. We only have 10 spots available for this offer because it goes so quickly. So if you want yours, tap learn more below now. We only have 10 spots. We only have 15 spots. Adding in some form of scarcity is also going to improve your ads, and it's one of the most powerful psychological drivers for human beings is they want things that are highly desired by other people. So if you add in scarcity, that increases the desire of the other people because they're like, oh man, other people want this too. Oh man, there's limited spots. Oh man, like that's why everybody wants the new Gucci or the new watch or the new Lambos because they're scarce, they're rare, they're hard to get your hands on. So that's how I think about the advertising: audience, offer, call to action, benefits, and scarcity. You get those 5 things in an ad with a good offer, you're going to crush. And then it just comes down to like clicking some buttons and looking at some numbers. And we can talk about that too, but that's the boring stuff.
That's brilliant. So thanks for sharing that with me. If someone's new and if someone wants to get into SMMA, start an agency, get Facebook ad clients, would you say what's better? Is it learning the skill, then doing the AOBC for their own agency and try to get leads and then convert? Or is it what you did initially, partner with someone who knows how to sell and then split the profit or do a deal that way?
It's a great question, man. You know what's funny is the first agency, it wasn't that I didn't know how to sell. Instead, I was scared. And I think I'm a big believer that fear is the number one thing that holds people back. And if you can work through getting through your fear, you can do literally like anything. Like, you know, you can't fly. I mean, you can try, but I didn't tell you to. But you, seriously, like if you can eliminate your fear and your limiting beliefs, you can do so much. It's incredible, man. But I was crippled by fear. I was terrified of picking up the phone and calling people. I was terrified of hopping on calls like this. It's the last thing I wanted to do. So my first agency scaled to 20K a month, but I didn't actually sign paperwork that said I was a partner in the agency. So technically I was a contractor and I was just doing the media buying, the Facebook ads. When it came, push came to shove and I was like, hey man, can I become a partner now? We didn't work out an agreement. I got kicked out of that agency and fired. Not only did I not become a partner, but I became fired. So now I'm starting to get from 0.0 and I'm like, man, I could partner again with somebody because I'm too scared to freaking sell, or I could just man up and I could start selling. So I decided to do sales at my next agency. And you know what's funny? Turns out I was even better at sales than the other guy. And we went from 0 to 20K a month in 30 days. It took me 6 months the first time. It took me 30 days the next time. And so what I would recommend to people, I tell that story because I think everybody is capable of learning how to sell. I think it's a skill. I don't think you need to be Jordan Belfort. I know I'm not. But I think there's a process and a method that if you practice and you dedicate yourself to and you put in the work, anybody can learn how to effectively persuade somebody to buy marketing services. I truly believe that. I don't think you need to be gifted. I think you need to figure out a process that works for you and be authentic and honest in it and follow a few core tactics and principles, and you can do it. So that's what I would recommend people is learn the skill. And if you try it for 6 months and you suck at it, you're not going anywhere and like you're just like, man, sales is not me and it's not working, but you tried, then I would recommend looking for a partner and potentially trying to find somebody and partner up with.
So the best way would be to try it yourself first, and only if you can't do it yourself, then look for a partner.
Yes.
So let me ask you that easy question that you probably thought I'd ask. How do you, even after that, Matt, I'll tell you honestly, even after the 1 million subs, even after all the fame, I get recognized all the time when I'm in in any Bangladeshi community. So in Bangladesh, obviously, but even in Germany, even in Bonn, random places, if there are Bangladeshi people, they'll probably recognize me. Partially because of the organic success, and also partially because I run so many paid ads, people see me either way. I still get nervous for things like this. The thing that I'm doing right now, my English is not that great, so I'm conscious about that, what people will think. And as the audience
Your
grows,
English is better than mine, by the way. Let me just.
oh, thanks for saying that. You're too humble. But yeah, I get conscious about, I wanted to do an English podcast for years. And I didn't do it because I thought people would judge me, and some probably will. I get, you have, people have that bias against survivability bias, I think it's called. And even if you get like a million positive comments, you get 2 negative comments and your eyes go to those 2, and you're like, your day is ruined. And I just didn't want to add up to that with an English content, an English podcast, or English videos, because I thought people would say nasty things. What's the point? Why do it? Life is good anyways. So I didn't do it. And I think I missed out on a lot of stuff because I didn't do it for fun chats and relationships like this. And also business wise, I think I would have been way more successful if I did things in English, because the audience is bigger, the money is better. I was talking to someone, and he was telling me that his business channel, it's a very small YouTube channel in terms of numbers, but the CPM is like $150, and mine is like 1.5 to, on a good day, 3. So it varies wildly. So the question that I'm trying to get at is, how do you get rid of that fear? How did you? It's always scary anyways to talk to someone for an introvert, and it's way more scarier when you're trying to sell that person into a service, you being a nobody. How do you do that?
I'll give 2 thoughts here because I relate a lot to what you're saying. The first thing is, the way you overcome anything is by doing it. The way I broke through the fear of sales calls is by taking hundreds of sales calls. The way I got over my fear of anything is just by doing it consistently. And there's still a lot of things I'm still really afraid of, but I'm working on them and I'm doing them, and I'm just taking the first step. And I think people are afraid. They're not afraid of doing something. They're afraid of taking the first step. Like, most people aren't afraid of actually taking sales calls. They're afraid of taking the first one. But once they take the first one, they're going to say, oh, wait, that wasn't that bad. And they're going to take the second one and the third one and the fourth one. And once they take that first one, they're almost going to be hooked, right? So I think really it's a fear of taking the first step. And it's because we are so damn hard on ourselves to where we feel like the first time we need to do something, we need to do it perfectly. And we don't allow ourselves the freedom or the love to say, look, man, you don't need to crush your first sales call. You don't need to crush your first podcast. You don't need to crush your first YouTube video. It's actually okay if you completely fuck it up, because you're going to have your entire life to continue to work on it and get better. But we live in a society where the standard has become perfection at all times, at all moments, in every endeavor that you ever focus on. That's not reality. Every great salesperson you've ever seen sucked at sales. Every great podcaster you've ever seen, they sucked at podcasting in the beginning. But the way they got good at it is they did it. So if you can give yourself the freedom and the love to say, look, man, me and you, you're almost your own best friend. Look, man, me and you are going into this podcast. Me and you are going into this sales call. Who cares what people say about us? Who cares how we do? You and I, we're going to have some fun. Let's just have some fun with this. Let's see how we do. We know we're trying. We know we're getting outside of our comfort zone. Let's see what we can do here. And you just go in as your own best friend, knowing that even if everybody in the world is against you and judging you, you got yourself. And in a weird, really fancy way, that's actually all you need. That's actually all you need. I would say God too, but I'll leave it at that. The second part is understanding where the fear comes from in the first place. I spent a lot of time. I went to therapy for like 2 years for anxiety, for fear. Like, that's how bad it was for me. So people can know. I went to therapy for 2 years for it. Spent a lot of my parents' money. But I learned something fascinating from my therapist. I remember when he told me this. I was like 15 when he told me this, maybe 16, but I've never forgot it. He said, he was dissecting my fear. He was like, what are you actually afraid of, Matt? Like, what are you actually worried about? I was like, well, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And he said, can I tell you what you're afraid of? And he broke it down. And he said this. thousands of years ago, we all lived in a tribe. We lived in an actual tribe of 10, 20, 30 people maybe. And in that tribe, if you wanted to survive, if in that lifetime you needed to be with the tribe. If you got kicked out of the tribe, you would have to hunt woolly mammoths by yourself and defend yourself against other tribes of 30 people, and you'd probably die. So if you didn't fit into the tribe, if the people didn't like you, if they didn't trust you, if you didn't connect with them and you got kicked out, your life was literally on the line. So it was literally a matter of life or death when it came to fitting in with other people. But that has been wired into our conscious. That's been wired into our DNA. That's been wired into our biology and our psychology to this day, to where we still feel like those primitive beings did, to where if we get kicked out of the tribe, we think our life is literally over. It's why public speaking is people's number one fear. It's why we're so afraid of being rejected, because we feel like if we get rejected, our life is literally going to be over. But it's not. We're not in the same time frame we were thousands of years ago. Your life is actually going to be probably fine if you get rejected by people. You will figure it out. You will be okay. Your life is not on the line. So I think understanding that for me, realizing that this was actually a fear that was wired into my DNA that came from survival, like you alluded to earlier, understanding that made me realize that this isn't a real fear. It's like it's made up. What is fear? It's false evidence appearing real. That's what it is. So I think that helped me a lot as well, understanding the actual first principle of fear and where it came from, allowed me to work through it better. So
let me ask you a tactical question first, because I'm going to forget it. So if I decide not to do sales myself, if I decide not to do the meetings myself, and if I decide to find someone and partner with someone who's good at it, how do I find someone who's good at sales?
how do you find somebody who's good at sales?
Not like an sorry to cut you off, not like an employee, like a partner, like what you did in your early days.
Yeah, I think the best place to find a business partner is to put yourself in places where people you want to partner with are. So for me, I found my business partner through a mastermind event. I went to a networking event and I found them there. And I did that as an introvert who didn't want to go to the event, right? But I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone, and then I found him there. If you don't have a ton of events, or you don't have the money, or you don't want to go, I would recommend Facebook groups. Facebook groups are any online communities. School.com, tactical, like Let's Get Tactical. School.com is very interesting. There's a lot of people hanging out on school.com. You can find a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of potential business partners. So I would look at Facebook groups, Discord communities, and school communities. SKOOL is school.com. And plant seeds, get on Zooms with people. Be the person who's like, hey, man, you want to chop it up? Hey, man, you want to talk for 15 minutes? Hey, man, you want to be each other's accountability partners? And it starts off as accountability, and next thing you know, you're actual business partners. Y Combinator did a study where they noticed that the most successful business on average had 3.2 co-founders. So on average, there were 3.2 partners at the $1 billion plus companies. And the other thing they noticed is that the business partners knew each other before starting the company. So how do you find a good business partner? Well, you probably already have. You might already know them. They might already be in your network. The question is, are you nurturing that relationship, and are you planting seeds of partnership? So that's how I would think about finding a good partner.
You mentioned Y Combinator. Y Combinator also has a Tinder-like thing where you can find co-founders for yourself. I'm not sure if I've used it. It's a nice feature where you can like say I'm interested, and everyone has their profile. I forgot the name of it, but if you Google Y Combinator, find co-founder, you'll find a lot of people who are into it.
That is very cool. I did not actually know that, because for software, I've been trying to build a software company. That's been the biggest problem, is finding somebody who can code and wants to be my partner. So I haven't taken my own advice there, because it's not my main focus. But that's very interesting. I didn't know they came out with that. Smart.
Yeah. It's a free thing where you can sign up, and then you get matched with other people who they think it'll be a good. It's a lot like a dating app, but it's cool. You should check it out.
Love it.
Okay, so let's say I learn the skill, and I now have a SMMA structure, and I'm trying to get my first lead, not client, lead. What would be the best marketing method for me to attract leads for my SMMA?
Do you have money, or do you not have money?
Let's say I have $1,000.
$1,000. Ooh. I relate to this. This is me 5 years ago. I'll
Yeah.
tell you how I found my first clients when I didn't have a lot of money. I
Yeah.
cold emailed a ton of people. There's a
Hmm.
software called Instantly.ai or Instantly.io, I think.
Okay.
And what I did at this time, we were using a different software, but Instantly is what I would use now. I went and I bought a list of emails from some guy in a Facebook group. You can find a list on D7 Lead Finder. You can also use VAs on Upwork can find a list for you for like $3 an hour. They'll scrape a list of thousands and thousands of contacts, take them a few hours. There's a ton of places to find a list, but you got to get a list first. That's the very first thing you need to do is you need to get a list of customers in one specific niche. And I always recommend having one specific niche when you start out. Don't do multiple industries, do one industry. Once you have that list, then I would go and I would cold email via Instantly. And what I would do is I would offer free trials. And here's the script I would use because I know we want to get tactical. So here's the script I used to get like 70 free trials and scale up to like $20,000 a month 5 years ago. It still works today. It was, hey, name, I found you on X, Y, and Z platform. Like, hey, Matt, I found you on Google. I was super impressed with some of your reviews. Are you taking on new clients right now? And clients, I would use whatever that word means for them specifically. If I was going after a gym, I wouldn't say clients. I would say members, gym members. If I was going after a dentist, I would say patients. Are you taking on more patients right now? The second line is I help dentists like you bring in an extra 10 to 20 patients a month. And I'm actually looking for a good partner in X, Y, and Z area to partner up with. Would you be against me sending you new patients for free for 2 weeks in exchange for a testimonial? Warmest
Hmm.
regards, Matt. So I compliment them. I tell them where I found them. I ask them if they're taking on new business, which almost always they are. I tell them a little bit about me and what I do, and then I offer them 2 weeks free. Who's going to say no to 2 weeks free? And then I get them on a call. So that's the opening email I would send out that I did send out that you can start doing today. Literally, you could get a list of people right now today after this podcast. You could send them that email and you could have 10 free trials in the next 2 weeks. And next thing you know, you have a paying client. It seriously, it's not that easy, but it is that simple, like you said earlier.
So yeah, I bang out a list. I hire a VA from Upwork, or I hire a friend, and for $3 to $5 an hour, I get a list of all the dentists in London or in UK. I send out that cold email. I ask if they're taking more patients, and then I ask for that call, and they get on the call. What happens in the call? What do we talk about?
Question. So there's a whole script. I have videos on my YouTube of me actually like doing a live sales call.
Yeah.
So I go through the whole script, but you ask them questions. Like if you want to close people, sales is not about what you say. It's not about how you say it. It's about what they say to you. So it's about what
Hmm.
information do you get from the other person? Because in a sales conversation, information is ammunition. And the more information you have on them, the more ammunition you have at the end. You're loading up a gun of problems and reasons that they need your service. And at the end, when they give you objections, you just remind them of all the problems they have, all the things they mentioned to you. So if you want to have a good sales conversation, ask them questions. The very first question I ask Farhan is, what motivated you to take the time to meet with me today?
Hmm.
What motivated you to take this meeting? Well, I'm kind of looking around. I'm kind of interested. Gotcha. What are you interested in? Why are you interested? What are you doing right now? And it's like podcasting. You know, I'm sure you've noticed this. Like sales and podcasting, it's the same thing. You're just trying to get information from somebody. The only difference is in podcasting, you don't usually have anything to sell them. Unless, I mean, hey, dude, if you
Well,
got
wait,
something
wait, wait till the end.
to sell, so if you got something for me,
No, I don't.
that's how I think about it. Sales is not about what you say. It's not about how you say it. It's about what the prospect says to you.
Okay. Okay. So let's go with the Facebook ad example. At the end of the call, if they agree, if I find the right problems for them, which usually is not having enough potential patients or sales calls or customers, yeah, one
Yeah.
or the other. Do I ask? It's a very, very tactical question, and probably 99% of the audience wouldn't be able to relate to this. Do I ask for their ad account access to my business account and then start running? Or
Dude.
does the free trial include me spending my money from my 1 grand to get them more leads?
Yes, thank you for asking me. This is such a tactical question. Dude, first off, guys, drop a one in the YouTube comments because these questions are these are my DMs. These are the DMs
Yeah.
I get. Um, yeah, so I have the clients cover the ad spend. And what I
Okay.
recommend is most industries like $30 a day for 2 weeks. And if they're not
Okay.
willing to spend the ad spend, it's because they don't trust you. And it's usually because in the beginning you're coming off as too needy. Like, oh, I'll
Hmm.
do it for free. Oh, just give me a video test. Like, no, you should stand behind your service and you could say, look, we're so confident in what we do that we actually want to put our money, we actually want to put our time where our mouth is, and we want to do it for free. We actually are going to cover the entire service cost. You just need to cover the ad spend. Of course, if you're not willing to cover the ad spend, you're probably just not serious enough about growing your business right now, and probably just not a good fit for either of us to do this right now. So, and then I would just like say that, like, look, if you're not willing to cover the ad spend, this probably isn't a good fit for either of us. We're going to cover our entire cost, our CRM, our team, everything. We're going to cover that for you for free. All you have to do is cover the ad spend. And then it kind of makes it go in their brain like, oh, shoot, I guess that's kind of a no-brainer. And then
Hmm.
they spend the ad spend.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Is there an easier version? Because what I'm thinking is, Matt, Europe is not like North America, in especially Ireland and UK. It's not. It is capitalistic, but people are not. How do I say it? People are not that interested in making a lot of money, if that makes sense. People are. Let me rephrase that. People are not interested in working after 5 p.m., and they would, in almost all the cases, they're a lot more likely to spend the time in the bar or in the pub, as they call it here, or spend time with their friends. They're not that greedy about money compared to the States. Why am I saying that? When you try to get access from someone for their Facebook ad account, it is a pain. Sometimes I'm not sure. I'm sure actually you have faced it in your 8 agencies. Do you ever see, because it's such a long time span between you finishing your sales call and then asking for that access from them, and then them giving you their ad account access, it generally probably, let me guess, it'll probably take like a week or two for them to find who's the admin of the page, who's the admin of their old business account. Then if they have to hook Instagram and Facebook page, then they'll need the Instagram login. Nobody knows who opened that Instagram account. And then do you lose a lot of clients or leads in that process? And if yes, is there an easier process to get them going without asking for their business ad account? Or is that even a problem? I'm not from SMMA, so maybe that's not even a problem.
Yeah, to be honest, that has not been a problem with us. If the client is actually sold and they're serious enough, like getting them onboarded, it can be a problem. Your first few onboardings might be rough. I'll give
Hmm.
everybody a little bit of a nugget. Leadsie.io, Leadsie.io. That makes your customer onboarding simplified and super easy. So you can use
Nice.
that, and it allows you to just share the customer's assets really quickly.
Nice. Oh,
Yep.
thank you. So yeah, let's say I do the free trials. What happens generally at the end of the free trial? If I do a good job, do I then ask for them to be a client, or do I just ask for a testimonial and be happy with that?
Great question. No, I don't even ask for testimonials. I just do that to get them on the call.
Yeah.
What I actually do to close the free trials, this is such an important question because anybody can get a free trial. Few people can actually turn them into paying customers.
Hmm.
The first key here with free trials is planting the seed before they ever sign up. Like, hey, we're going to work for free for you for 2 weeks. Our goal, of course, as you can appreciate, is to earn your business. So after the 2 weeks, we can continue working together to continue bringing you more customers. Now, that said, the first 2 weeks is just 2 weeks. I don't want to give you the wrong expectation here, Mr. Client. You're not going to get rich in the first 2 weeks. You and I can both appreciate that as legit business owners. That's not how this works. But what it will do is it first will give you an opportunity at potentially some actual customers coming in, but also more importantly, it's going to establish a grounds of a relationship for us, and we can see what it's like working together, and you can actually see the behind the scenes of the system to get a taste for it, to see if you want more. If you don't like how it tastes and you're like, this ain't for me, cool. We'll go our separate ways, no hard feelings. But if you're getting some traction out of it, and if you're interested, then of course, after the 2 weeks, you and I can hop on and we can discuss what it would look like to continue partnering. Is that fair enough, Mr. Customer? So I set that expectation before they even sign on. That way they know what they're getting into, and the expectation is set that, look, we want to get you as a customer. We're going to revisit this in 2 weeks. And what I would do, onboard them, meet in a week, see how it's going. And then in 2 weeks again, meet and try to close them. And I would take all the results from the free trial. How many people did we reach? How many leads did we get? How many appointments did we set? How many clicks? How many potential customers, et cetera, et cetera. Present that to them and say, look, this is just the first 2 weeks. The thing about Facebook marketing is it takes time. It takes data. We now have 2 weeks of data that we can run with to continue to improve your marketing. The key to closing a free trial is giving them the second action plan. This is what we got in our first 2 weeks. Now here's what we think we can do to make it even better as if we were to continue to partner. This is our ideas. Give them those ideas. Make the ideas sound great to where they're like, man, I love those ideas. I really think these ideas are going to crush. I would hate not to see this idea implemented in my business. Let me sign on with these guys. So that's how I think about closing free trials. I hope that helps.
That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I'm sure people are getting a lot of value. Those of them who are listening, a lot of them are probably not listening at this point, but those of you who are, I'm sure you're getting a lot of value out of it. So in SMMA, would you say Facebook ad is the biggest chunk? So if I do a pie chart of the common services of all the SMMS that they offer, would Facebook ad be the main thing, or organic Facebook, organic social media, or TikTok ad, or something else would be the main thing?
Great question. In my opinion, keep it simple and sell normal Facebook ads. Yeah, normal Facebook ads. They just work. Don't get fancy. Fancy fails, simple scales. Keep it simple. Facebook ads are proven. They work. It's the best platform to advertise on. TikTok has potential, but it's not there yet. So simple, Facebook and Instagram.
Nice. And then to grow your agency, so you get some clients, and then do you keep, so let me ask for yourself. You now have a bunch of agencies. All of them are probably doing very good. Do you still follow the same process of getting new clients? Do you still cold email, or do the marketing changes depending on the stage of the agency?
Yeah, so we don't do any cold email anymore. We definitely don't do free trials. What we do now is we run paid ads. So we're running paid ads to get our customers, and it's like that's like cheat code compared to free trials and cold email. Like we have customers coming into us through our funnel asking to work with us, and we're charging them, $6,000 up front on a one call close. We closed 2 of those today, actually. Just first call close, they hop on, we sell them, and that's it. And we're able to do that because we're really good at sales. We have a ton of testimonials, a ton of social proof, and we have a really good offer, and we have a guarantee that stands behind the offer. So that's how we're able to do that. But yeah, now we don't do any cold emails, any free trials, anything like that.
When you say paid ads, is it Facebook ads, or do you also do PPC, Google stuff?
So we're running Facebook and Instagram ads to attract our clients. We do run some Google, we do run some TikTok, but mainly, again, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Are you the face on these ads, or are you setting up the agency to sell it at some point, do an exit?
Good question. Yeah, as you can imagine, this is not the face.
You're being too harsh on yourself. You're fine.
So I've done some ads. My partner does some ads. We outsource some ads. We've actually hired a video production agency, and we paid them to make cool ads for us, and we helped them come up with the ideas. And that was one of the best investments we ever made. One of our ads, I've talked about this a lot. One of our ads was the real estate wrap, and we work with real estate agents. So we had this guy make a rap song and a music video for realtors about leads and how leads suck and how we're the best lead system out there if you want to get real actual leads. That went viral in our space. That ad made us probably, $700,000, $800,000, and we spent $2,000 to make it. So crazy return on investment. So that's something that if you can get your hands on a good video production agency, you just give them the idea, let them make the ad for you, make it all fancy. That'll definitely help because it makes you stand out from all the other agencies out there that are just running little selfie videos of, we guarantee chiropractors 10 patients a month. It's like, that's not an ad. That's a video. That's not an ad. That's not a commercial. So that's some of the things we've done to stand out.
Gotcha. Let me ask you some easy questions. So yeah, sit back, relax. What does your you recommended a few books actually on the step one of starting an SMM agency when we were discussing the psychology side of things. So what does your content diet look like? What do you consume in the internet or in the form of book or
Good.
newspapers? I don't know what you read.
The main thing I consume is the Holy Bible.
Nice. Yeah.
That's probably the main thing. I have this right here right now. So Toughness by Jay Billis.
Yep.
Haven't read it yet, but thinking about it. I would say the majority of what I consume. First, there's this podcast called Founders. It's the Founders podcast. I don't know if you've listened to it, Khalid, but
Yeah, it's with the like found and then R. Yeah.
No, sorry, not that one. Not that one.
Okay.
That's a good one as well. But actual Founders, like the actual word, it's
Okay.
on
No, I
Spotify.
haven't listened to it.
It's this guy. I forget what the guy's name is, but dude, it's literally the best podcast I've ever listened to. Besides this one, of course.
Of course, duh.
But it's literally the best podcast I've ever listened to. This guy has read something like 2,000 biographies of famous entrepreneurs and historians. Just like he's just studied everybody, dude. And he makes these podcasts that break down the biggest takeaways and the biggest ideas that people like Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, etc., George Washington, all of these guys shared. And he just breaks them down in a really simple, digestible way. I wish I discovered that 5 years ago. It's the number one piece of content I consume. And then as far as books go, I actually really do read the Bible a lot. Proverbs to me is like some of the best wisdom in the world. It's incredible. And then I read a lot of personal development and business strategy books is what I'm really into. So
Is it the founder guy? Is it the same guy who used to be the production guy for My First Million and then he started his own podcast? We
I
have no
don't,
idea.
I don't know,
Okay,
but
cool. I think
if
it's
it
the same
was him,
person.
that would be pretty sick. That'd be really
Yeah,
cool.
I think it's the same person, but yeah, just Google for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not a lot of so that podcast. Why do you read? Wait, when you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to biographies, and then you're also reading biographies and business strategy books. What's in biography? Why does biography attract you?
So Charlie Munger said something interesting. He obviously recently passed away. May he rest in peace. But Charlie Munger said the greatest entrepreneurs in history tend to study the other great people of history. It's just a common trait. Like Warren Buffett does this, Charlie did this, and the people who came before them did this. So great people study other great people who came before them. And I think it's because the greatest debt that we pay as human beings is things we don't know. Like that's your greatest expense is the information you don't yet know. And if you want to be great, just find somebody who's already been great and learn from them. Skip the process. So studying great people, I think studying biographies, studying from the greats is just a really quick way to save yourself time because smart people learn from their own mistakes. Wise people learn from the mistakes of others, but the wisest people learn from the successes of others. So you can just study all of these other people and save yourself the time and a lot of the money and learn the lessons that they already learned for you.
Makes sense. What is your so you're a very successful person in any metric, from nothing to nearly 5 million run rate. That's a lot of money. How has life changed after money? Or a better way to phrase it would be, how has money changed you as a person?
Man, that's really an interesting question. It's funny. I was thinking about that question last night, actually. Dude, it's actually so weird you asked me that. I was literally like imagining getting asked that question on a podcast. I forgot our podcast was today. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Well,
But um, well, I actually remembered it was today, but I wasn't thinking about that
yeah.
question specifically for this podcast. But I was thinking about it just like, what if somebody asked me that? So it's so funny you asked me that because in Proverbs, as I was just talking about, I think it's chapter 10, verse 16. In fact, you know what? You can't misquote the Bible. Let's get it
Yep.
right. Yeah, it's actually right here. Proverbs 16, chapter 10, I believe it is. No, I got it wrong. Maybe it's 10:16. Yes. Okay. The wage of the righteous leads to life, but the gain of the wicked to sin. So what that taught me is when money is added to righteous people, it leads to abundance for other people. It leads to life. It leads to positivity. It leads to impact. It leads to change. But when wages are added to evil people, it leads
Mm,
to sin. It leads to greed. It leads to pride. It leads to destruction. It leads to power. It leads to negative things. So money is a multiplier of who you are. It doesn't change you. Like, I'm
mm,
not different because of money. I'm only different because of what I've had to do to gain the money. It's not the
mm,
money that changes you, it's the process. The money itself, all it does is it puts up a magnifying glass to who you already are. And it says, do you see this nice, loving, compassionate person? They will be even more nice, even more loving, even more generous, even more compassionate now that they have money. But do you see this evil, greedy, hateful, insecure person? They will be even more of that now that they have money because money is a magnifying glass. So that's, I think, how it's changed me is it's just made me more of who I already was. And it's made me realize how unimportant money actually is, as you probably have realized too. Like, money at a certain extent is important, but after a while, it's like, dude, what are we doing? Like, do we need
mm,
the watches? Do we need the cars? Do we need, like, what are we actually doing, dude? There are people who are losing their life today because they don't have money.
mm,
And people like us can do something about that. And like, I used to be so stingy and frugal and greedy, but going on the journey of entrepreneurship has, I think, just humbled me in a lot of ways, to where I realized, like, man, we actually can do something for other people. If we have the gift of making money, if we have the gift of building business, then we have the ability to share that gift with others. And I think that's truly the gift of life, is to share your gift with other people. So that's how I think about money. I think it's a gift I've been given, and I have the ability to now share it with other people, which is something I need to do a way better job of. But ultimately, I think that's the point of business, is building something that can be poured back into other people.
So yeah, but I think I'm a lot like you in the sense that I don't enjoy buying things, and it just doesn't exist. I drive a Nissan Note 2018, and even that. So I'll give you a quick story. I'm from Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, traffic jam is a huge thing. I'm from the capital, which is Dhaka, and traffic jam is a nuisance. So when I was doing my bachelor's, from my house to the university that I was going to, it used to take roughly roughly 2 hours to get to the university, do the class, and then come back again 2 hours, 2 hours commute each way. And then I landed in Ireland for my master's. It's a first world country. Everything seems to happen quicker. There is no traffic jam on the roads. And so I started taking the bus. And I was not that rich at that point. It was 2017, 2018. So things haven't really picked up yet, but things are improving. And it was taking about 30, 40 minutes each way to from my house to Trinity College, where I studied for my master's here. And life was good. I never felt for 1 second that I need a car. And that continued till I became then a millionaire. Then money started increasing. And yeah, then I had a lot of money, but I never thought of buying a car because you don't, I didn't even feel it.
Yeah.
I was from Bangladesh. Everything was fine. The bus was good. The bus came on time, and there is no traffic jam. Why would I even need a car? Then I bought a car, and that kind of changed me because then I started being dependent on the car, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I remember for groceries or for wherever I was going, I used to either walk or take the bus. Life was good. Now, after 1 or 2 years or 3 years of having the car, I don't feel like getting on the bus anymore. I feel like, why would I get on the bus? I'll just go wherever I want to go in my own schedule, in my own time, in the own comfort of my car. So it's just a silly example with a car, but that can happen with you in like magnitudes. If you buy something super expensive and then you start relying on it, and you'll soon find a time when you'd see that your life is not the same without that thing, and that's not a good thing, I think.
I agree with you, man. It's really interesting to hear you say that. You know, Bruce Lee has a quote that I think summarizes this really well. He says, the more we love material possessions, the less we love ourselves.
Hmm.
Because what happens is those materials start to become who we are. They start to
Hmm.
replace our identity. Our identity is no longer what we do or who we are, but it's what we have. And you become a Lamborghini owner, you become a nice watch owner, you become a person who wears a certain type of clothes. That becomes your identity. And if those things were taken away from you, it's like a part of you has been taken away from you. So the man who can live with nothing is an incredibly powerful and dangerous man, because he doesn't need he doesn't need to face the evil that sometimes is required to attain a lot of these. Like, a lot of people who have really nice things, they didn't get it a very nice way. The man
Mm.
who's comfortable
Yeah.
with nothing is the most dangerous man in the world, because you can't do anything to him. He doesn't need anything. He's just there, and he's satisfied with it. And there's something really powerful in being satisfied with absolutely nothing, but it's very, very rare in today's world. So it's cool to hear you say that.
But if that's true, Matt, let me tell you about the other side of it. If you're happy with nothing, if you're someone who doesn't want to buy a Lamborghini, who doesn't want to buy a Rolex, and you're happy with your 5 mil coming in, what's your motivation to get it to 100 or a bill?
Yeah.
What's the point of doing anything if you're happy with 1 million a year? Because life is good. You don't want fancy things, and your quality of life is not likely to improve at 20 mil because it'll stay the same. So how do you stay hungry?
I'm not the hungry one.
Okay.
It's all the other people who, like, if there weren't people before me who laid the foundation, I don't know what my life would look like. But I'm
Hmm.
terrified to think about it.
Hmm.
So there's somebody else out there who feels the same way. In fact, there's billions of people who feel the same way. I feel like if we've somehow been blessed enough to make it out of that, it is our duty and our responsibility to start to give it back to other people. It's not like I don't need to be motivated. It's not
Hmm.
me. Like, it's not for like, and I'm not to the extreme of indulgence or the extreme of asceticism or nothingness or like monk mode, like where I don't believe in owning any nice thing. Like, I want a nice house. That's like the one thing I want. I want a nice house.
Yeah.
Um, but like I'll wear this till the day I die. Like,
Yeah.
and not because I went there. Obviously, as you guys know, I
Huh.
dropped. I didn't get close. But it's not about what I want. It's not about that. It's like I believe our purpose as human beings is to sacrifice for other human beings. And if everybody did that, can you imagine, Khalid, a world where everybody lived for somebody else other than themselves? Where I lived for
Hmm.
you, you lived for someone else, and that other person lived for me, etc., etc. Like, can you imagine a world like that? It's incomprehensible compared to the society we have today, but it's what we're here for. It's what this place is meant to be. A world where everybody is living for each other and they're serving each other. And because of that, everyone feels incredible. People don't fall victim to greed or insecurity or fear or any of those things or lack, because everybody lifts each other up. I think that is what I feel called to do. So I don't need the things. I don't need to be motivated. I know I don't need the hunger because there's somebody else who's hungry for me, and it's my job to feed them in some way.
Nice. Oh, that's so deep. Let me ask you about a like thing. So I discovered you out of nowhere. I was definitely not researching about SMMA, that's for sure. I was not looking to start an agency. Everything was good, and suddenly, I think last year in 2023, November, December, I see one of your videos. It was an interview with someone about you. You guys were discussing agency stuff, and it was a good interview. And then I watched a few other ones. I don't remember exactly which one, but you didn't have a lot of, it's a very new YouTube channel. So for those of you who are still listening, please go to Matt Shell's YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description as well, and subscribe if you haven't already. Uh, Even if you don't watch, still subscribe. But yeah, if you watch, that's an added bonus. So yeah, I discovered you out of nowhere. Why did you decide to be a YouTuber, a content creator, to create content on the internet? One. And then the second part is, how did you grow? Is there a strategy behind it if you're doing specifically something to grow your YouTube thing?
Well, first off, I'm going to ask you that last question. All right. But why did dude? It's hard to get a simple answer out of me because I don't do things just to do them. Like, I know you said it's the light question. I'm going to try not to give you a crazy deep answer, but I really do think it ties back to what I just said about serving others. Like that's my
Okay.
mission in life, is to serve others. Um, And again, I'm not against serving yourself in ways too. Like, take care of yourself, live a good life if that's what you want to. Like, don't I'm not saying you need to live a bad life and just give everything away. But that's why I started the YouTube channel, is because I left school after ninth grade. My school, like I did online classes after ninth grade, but that's just like a scam. Like, if normal school's a scam, imagine online school. It's like the biggest scam. It's crazy, dude. I finished my senior year in 3 days. I started on a
Nice.
Tuesday. I finished on a Thursday. It was crazy. Um, so my actual schooling was YouTube. I went to YouTube University, dude. I learned everything I know from YouTube. Like you talked about my content diet, I should have mentioned this. The main content I consume is YouTube videos, probably just like this. So for me, it was a point of nostalgia to go from student on YouTube to professor on YouTube and to share that and to give that back the same way that Billy Wilson, the guy whose course I bought for $597 that started with a YouTube video, that guy changed my life. He's one of my best friends now. I can be that person for somebody else, and then they can be that person for somebody else, and so on and so on. So that's why I started the YouTube. How have I grown? Um, I would say one of the best things I've learned is just like reaching out to other people to collab. I'm sure you've related to that as well. Like that's been something that's helped me a lot is getting to do some podcasts. This is like a great example of that. Thankfully you reached out to me, which is freaking humbling. Thank you.
Thanks for
But
saying yes to me. And
oh,
yeah, it was great.
I'd be curious, like what do you think has allowed you to grow? What's your biggest YouTube growth secret? Because I'm obviously still trying to figure out the way up. So yeah, you dropped some sauce for me. What do you think?
The first thing I'd say is it's a luck thing. I am from someone and I'm creating content for a country that has 165 million people. So it's
Hmm.
and it's most of my content is in Bengali. There aren't a lot of competition in my space for that community, for that country, for Bengali speakers. So it's a luck thing. I didn't strategize this. It kind of happened organically. And I later retrospectively realized that I ended up creating content, business and marketing content for a nation, for a community that didn't have business and marketing content in Bengali. And
Hmm.
it's a lot of people. And I was right in the middle of internet boom. Internet penetration started in Bangladesh in 2013, 14 ish, when people started getting 4G. And then Wi-Fi penetration also happened around the same time, 15, 16. So, and also then COVID happened on top of that, which made everything like online became the thing during COVID. So it's a lot of luck. I can't say I don't think I can take any credit for my YouTube journey or content journey. I was at 60,000 subscriber when COVID started and people started working from home, and I ended up with 500,000 when people started going back to their job. People stopped consuming content on the internet. So yeah, that there's that. It's a luck thing, and the only other thing that I think I did which helped is consistency. I tried to upload once a week, and I saw that when I was consistent on YouTube, that definitely helped. Other than that, the usual stuff that everyone talks about, the thumbnail, the CDR, all the sort of stuff are there. It's not like they aren't there, but these two would be the biggest contributors, I'd say.
Yeah, that makes sense. The consistency is so key. I think that's where most people fail right there is they just don't consistently do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started uploading these podcasts. So I have so the English podcast, they'll be uploaded on the main channel, of course. So you get a lot of subscribers. But they'll also be uploaded on a separate channel. And I have actually started uploading the only English stuff on a separate channel. I'll not mention the name of the channel because I don't want the current audience to find the new channel.
Hmm.
But that channel, when I uploaded the first podcast there, it got like 68 views. And I'm so used to having like 1,000 comments when I upload anything, and all of them are positive. It kind of shocked me, like, what am I doing? It's only 68 views, no comment, and like 2 like and probably 1 dislike as well. And then that channel now has 10 subscribers, like 10 when I'm recording this one. So I'll see where that goes in next 1 or 2 years. So hopefully I'll be able to give you some solid juice next year when we talk. At this moment, I'm just doing the journey from ground up, so I have
Wow.
no idea what.
Challenge, man.
It's fun though.
It is, dude. The podcast game is fun. Like getting, because I've been doing podcasts a lot on my channel too. I don't know if you've seen those,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
mirroring other good big podcasts like Diary of a CEO, making sick intros like of 60 seconds of the best moments,
Yeah.
making cool thumbnail. Like it's like a cool challenge to try to
Yeah.
grow a YouTube channel. It's really fun though.
Cool. Listen, Matt, thanks a lot for doing this. I'm sure you get asked for hundreds of podcasts every week, and you said yes to me. So thanks a lot for that. You didn't have to. It's not like we're friends. We didn't even know each other, but you
We
said
are now.
yes. We are now, yeah. Uh, but yeah, thanks a lot for doing this. I really, really, really appreciate it.
Dude, I really, really actually appreciate you reaching out to me, and I'm super impressed with what you're doing, man. And super cool to meet you, dude. This was
Same.
super fun. Thank you for asking such great questions, and I hope people got some value out of it, brother.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, everyone. And again, if you haven't subscribed to Matt Shield, please go to his YouTube channel and subscribe.